Emma Carter almost walked past her. It was an ordinary morning outside the county clinic, cars pulling in and out, phones ringing, people moving with purpose. Emma was already late, her mind counting minutes and responsibilities, when she noticed the old woman sitting alone on the bench near the entrance. She wasn't asking for help. She wasn't sleeping. She was waiting. The woman's coat was thin, too light for the chill, and her hands were folded neatly over a worn leather purse as if it contained something fragile. Her back was straight. Too straight. The kind of posture learned long ago and never unlearned, even when life stripped everything else away. Emma slowed without realizing it. The woman's eyes followed every person who passed, not with hope, but with assessment. Like someone measuring exits. "You going inside?" Emma asked, stopping in front of her. The woman looked up. Her gaze was sharp, unsettlingly clear. Not the cloudy stare Emma expected from someone her age. "I'm waiting," the woman said. "For someone who won't come." The words landed heavier than they should have. Emma hesitated, then gestured toward the doors. "I can sit with you until they open intake." A pause. Long enough to feel like a test. "Evelyn Rowe," the woman said at last. "And you're kind, but careful. That combination is rare." Emma smiled, unsure how to respond. She sat anyway. Inside the clinic, Emma's name was called. She stood, glancing back at the bench. Evelyn hadn't moved. "I work with home care services," Emma said impulsively. "If you need help at home." Evelyn's lips curved, just slightly. Life has a way of circling back, doesn't it? Emma didn't understand the comment then. She would later. 2 days after that morning, Emma's supervisor handed her a file. "Temporary assignment," she said. "Clients low income. Lives alone. Not much family history." The address made Emma pause. It was the same street. Evelyn's house sat at the far edge of town, modest and quiet. The porch steps were scrubbed clean. The doorframe freshly painted, though the rest of the house showed its age. Inside, everything was orderly, too orderly. No clutter. No photographs. The walls were bare, as if memories had been deliberately removed. Evelyn watched from her chair as Emma unpacked supplies. "You noticed the bench because you don't like unfinished things," Evelyn said casually. Emma looked up. "What? You stayed because something felt unresolved." That night, as Emma prepared to leave, she noticed Evelyn lock her bedroom door from the inside. Not fear. Routine. As Emma drove away, she felt it, a quiet certainty she couldn't explain. This wasn't just another assignment. And whatever Evelyn Rowe was waiting for, it wasn't a doctor. Emma learned quickly that Evelyn Rowe did not like wasted motion. Every task had a rhythm. Every object had a place. When Emma wiped the kitchen counter, Evelyn noticed which corner she started with. When Emma made tea, Evelyn asked why she let the water boil before pouring. "Small habits tell the truth about people," Evelyn said once. "They reveal what you were taught when no one was watching." Emma didn't ask who had taught Evelyn those lessons. She sensed the answer lived somewhere Evelyn no longer visited willingly. Days settled into a quiet routine, but unease threaded through it. Evelyn never spoke about family. Not a husband. Not children. Not even a passing mention of someone who used to call. Yet her house told a different story. The furniture was solid, well-made. The bookshelves were filled with volumes on law, economics, and classical literature, books that required patience and education. One afternoon, while dusting the study, Emma found a framed indentation on the wall. Something rectangular had once hung there and been carefully removed. The outline was too deliberate to be accidental. What was here? Emma asked later. Evelyn's eyes flicked toward the study door. A reminder, she said. And reminders can be dangerous if they fall into the wrong hands. That night, Emma noticed Evelyn counting her cash before placing it in an envelope for payment. The amount was exact. Not a dollar more, not a dollar less. People who struggled rarely did that. The first crack came a week later. While cleaning behind the bookshelf, Emma's cloth brushed against something metallic. A silver locket slid forward and fell open on the floor. Inside was a photograph, old, worn at the edges. A young man in a military uniform stood beside a pregnant woman. The man's face was clear. The woman's face had been scratched out so thoroughly the paper was thin. Evelyn's voice cut through the room. "Put it back." Emma froze. "I didn't mean. Put it back." The command wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Authority. The kind that once didn't need to raise its voice. That night, Emma heard Evelyn crying through the wall. Not softly. Not briefly. It was the sound of someone reliving a memory they had never been allowed to bury. A few days later, Emma noticed a man standing across the street when she arrived. Well dressed. Watching the house without pretending not to. When she mentioned it, Evelyn didn't look surprised. "Some people remember me," Evelyn said. "Even when I tried very hard to disappear." At the clinic the following week, Evelyn collapsed on the stairs. The fall wasn't dramatic, but the way she went still made Emma's chest tighten. At the hospital, tests were ordered. Doctors spoke carefully. "You have anyone we should call?" a nurse asked. Evelyn looked at Emma. For a moment, her composure cracked. "I did," she said. "But I chose silence instead of safety." Later that evening, a sharply dressed man arrived, introducing himself as Harris, a legal representative checking on an old client. Client. The word echoed in Emma's mind long after he left. As Emma drove Evelyn home that night, a realization crept in, slow, unavoidable. This woman had not lived quietly by accident. She had been hiding. Evelyn waited 3 days after the hospital visit before she spoke. She chose the moment carefully, late afternoon, when the light slanted low across the living room floor and the house felt suspended between day and night. Emma was folding laundry when Evelyn finally broke the silence. "Sit," Evelyn said. "Not a request." Emma obeyed. "You heard the word he used," Evelyn continued. "Client." "Yes. That man has known me for over 40 years. He knows my real name. He knows what I lost. And he knows what I refused to take." Emma felt her pulse quicken. "What did you refuse?" Evelyn's gaze drifted toward the window. For a second, her voice sounded younger. Steadier. "I was once Evelyn Hale." The name meant nothing to Emma, yet the way Evelyn said it made it heavy. "I married Thomas Hale when I was 24, Evelyn said. He was kind in private. Weak in public. His family controlled everything, money, lawyers, outcomes. When he died, they didn't ask how. They asked what I knew." The room seemed to shrink as Evelyn spoke. "I was pregnant. They told the world the child wasn't his. They said I married for access. They said I would ruin the company if I stayed." Emma pictured the scratched-out face in the locket. "They offered me a choice," Evelyn continued. "Disappear quietly, or lose my child in a court battle I could never win." Flashback blurred through Evelyn's eyes, lawyers' voices overlapping, contracts slid across polished tables, a pen placed deliberately in her hand. "I left. I changed my name. I raised my son where no one would look." Emma swallowed. "Your son?" "Yes." Evelyn's mouth tightened. "And for a time, I believed I had outrun them." Another memory surfaced, years later, a ringing phone, a police officer's voice, words spoken carefully to avoid blame. "A drunk executive," Evelyn said. "Driving a company car. My son never made it home." Emma felt something shift inside her chest. "Did they pay?" "They erased it," Evelyn replied. Just like they erased me. That was when Evelyn stopped trying to survive. And started waiting. After that conversation, Evelyn changed. She began teaching Emma things that had nothing to do with caregiving. How to read contracts. How to notice what people avoided saying. How silence could be weaponized. You think kindness keeps you safe, Evelyn said one evening as she corrected Emma's interpretation of a clause. It doesn't. Awareness does. Emma didn't understand why these lessons mattered, only that Evelyn delivered them with urgency. Foreshadowing came quietly. Evelyn asked questions about Emma's childhood. About adoption papers. About what Emma remembered, and what she didn't. Did your parents ever tell you why they chose you? Evelyn asked once. No, Emma replied. They said it felt right. Evelyn nodded, as if confirming something she already knew. That night, Emma found the locket placed neatly on her bedside table. Closed. Waiting. Evelyn's health declined in fragments, not all at once. There were mornings when she moved with ease, correcting Emma's posture while she cooked, reminding her to read the fine print on every document she signed. And then there were days when Evelyn sat silently by the window, fingers pressing into the armrest as if grounding herself against something unseen. On one of the quieter mornings, Evelyn handed Emma a sealed envelope. If anything happens, Evelyn said, take this to Harris. Emma turned the envelope over in her hands. It was thick. Heavy with paper. Heavier with intent. What is this? Emma asked. A correction, Evelyn replied. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. Curiosity pressed at her until it became unbearable. She opened the envelope. Her breath caught. Legal documents. Trust amendments. Identity confirmations. Dates that stretched back decades. And one line, typed cleanly near the bottom of the page. Emma Carter, beneficiary. Emma confronted Evelyn immediately. You made a mistake, Emma said, her voice shaking. This can't be right. Evelyn looked tired, but calm. It's precise. But you don't even. I know exactly who you are, Evelyn said gently. The room felt suddenly unstable, like the floor had shifted without warning. Evelyn reached into her drawer and pulled out a second envelope. Inside were adoption records Emma had never seen before. Names crossed out. Dates altered. One original signature preserved beneath layers of legal alteration. Evelyn's. Flashback surged through Evelyn's memory, hospital lights, a nurse instructed not to speak, papers signed under threat of exposure. They told me the child would be safer without my name attached, Evelyn said. They told me I would be watched. Emma felt her throat tighten. You're saying. I'm saying they let me believe you were dead, Evelyn finished. And I let myself believe it too, until I found you. The lessons. The attention. The patience. They weren't charity. They were recognition. Harris arrived 2 days later. He read the documents without surprise. She suspected you'd open it early, he said quietly to Emma. What happens now? Emma asked. Harris adjusted his glasses. Now, you wait. Evelyn passed in her sleep that night. No struggle. No spectacle. At the funeral, members of the Hale family appeared, drawn by rumors of something they had failed to control. They watched Emma closely, searching her face for recognition. They didn't find it. What they found instead was resolve. The reading of Evelyn Rosewell took place in a quiet office overlooking the river. Emma sat across from Harris, hands folded in her lap the way Evelyn used to sit, straight-backed, composed, unreadable. Members of the Hale family occupied the opposite side of the table. They spoke in low voices, confidence thinning beneath their tailored suits. Harris began without ceremony. Evelyn's remaining assets were released first, accounts long hidden, properties held under layered trusts, resources preserved through patience rather than power. The Hales listened politely. Money, they understood. Then Harris paused. The remainder of Mrs. Rowe's estate, he said, consists of records. Files were placed on the table. Accident reports. Internal memos. Settlement agreements quietly buried. Evidence connecting the Hale Corporation to corruption that spanned decades. The room shifted. "This is extortion," one of them snapped. Harris shook his head. "It's documentation." Emma watched their faces change as comprehension set in. Evelyn had not been waiting to be rescued. She had been waiting to be heard. That evening, Emma returned to the house one last time. The rooms felt larger without Evelyn's presence, yet nothing felt empty. On the desk lay the silver locket. Emma opened it carefully. For the first time, she noticed the engraving along the back. "For my daughter. When the truth is safe." The foreshadowing of every lesson, every silence, every measured look finally aligned. Evelyn had raised her twice, once by absence, once by preparation. Emma closed the locket and stood in the quiet. She understood now what Evelyn had been waiting for all those years. Not justice alone, but someone who could carry it forward.